I was just thinking, now that Gizmo is no longer with us, perhaps we could repurpose that space under the stairs that he used to live in.
So mean.
What?
You know that it gives Nando the pip when he hears about his old bouncing little buddy?
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Guillermo.
Who?
The servant boy who used to live in the rat hole under the stairs.
I remember it was the perfect place for me to store my precious volumes.
I think you will find, Leslo, that before Guillermo lived here, I would use that space for my calistheneticals.
No, I think you'll find I grabbed that space as soon as we moved in.
Do you know who would remember?
Who?
Jerry.
Yes. Jerry.
Yes, good old Jerry.
Jerry would remember everything.
Yes. Sorry, who's Jerry?
Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural episode of What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
For our first podcast, we're covering episodes 1 through 3 of the final season of What We Do in the Shadows. Please note, this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episodes yet and don't want to be spoiled, just log out, come back, and check us out after you've seen the episode. So, Mandy, let's dive right in. Please tell us what the synopsis is for these episodes.
Okay, so episode 1 is the return of Jerry. Vampire's long-lost fifth roommate returns. Episode 2 is headhunting. Guillermo gets a new job, and Colin helps Laszlo make a new friend. Episode 3, sleep hypnosis. A dispute over who gets to use the newly available empty room under the stairs gets out of control.
Awesome. Oh, these were so great. So before we dive into the episodes, we'll go through them one at a time. But I do want to get an idea of what your overall thoughts were on the show. Mine, I think it was an excellent first 3 episodes. They did not miss a beat. The storylines are hilarious, great acting, set costumes are incredible. The only thing is that makes me sad is knowing this is the last season. It's such an incredible cast. I love how each person shines on their own, but as an ensemble, they are amazing. What about you?
I'm going to miss this group of people getting together every week for 10 weeks or so, every fall time. I am very glad that they ended up debuting before Halloween because It's always something that I look forward to. And you know that sometimes I struggle a little bit as the days get shorter and it's a little blah. This is something that I look forward to every year. So it's going to be really hard to not have them after this year. But that being said, I will say I feel like these first 3 episodes for me were a little bit more of a slow burn. Like I had to remind, I kept waiting for, and I think this is the problem. The Jackie Daytona episode. I don't think, what was that, season 2 or 3?
I think it was 2.
I don't think I've ever moved on from the high of the Jackie Daytona episode. So I expect every single episode to be like that. But here's the thing. I've only had time because they released all 3 of them at once. I believe that I feel this way every season at the beginning of the season. What this show is so great at is being so nuanced that it's one of those shows that it's the reason it's one of my comfort shows, because you could watch the same episode 15 times and every single time you're going to find some little joke in the background or some little quirky accent that Matt Berry does when he as Laszlo, something,
some facial expression,
some facial expression that Nadia is making, or her giving the can we say vulgar terms on this podcast? No, yes, no,
yes.
Nadia making the jack off motion in the background when Laszlo is talking, stuff like that. So even though I've been so excited, it takes so long for it to get here. Been so excited waiting for it. I don't feel like that either of these 3 episodes was like a creepy paper, superb owl Jackie Daytona episode. But I know that it's going to still be like, I don't know. I guess the worst episodes of What We Do in the Shadows are still so much better than almost everything else on television that I'm super jazzed. And I did enjoy them very, very much.
Okay, good. Little history with me and Mandy. We've known each other for over 20 years, and this show, Mandy turned me on to this show, and I didn't watch at the same time when it was aired that she did. And so she would text me and I would be like, no spoilers, no spoilers. And so it would be like a fun argument or annoyance that she would get with me, that she's like, I want you to be watching this right now. So I couldn't think of anyone better when I decided this is the show I wanted to cover to have on with me and bear with us, because like I said, we've known each other for 20 years, so we can ramble. Back to the episodes. Episode 1, Return of Jerry. Jerry was played by Michael Patrick O'Brien, who I didn't realize was quite a noted writer, actor, and producer. He has a lot of credits under his IMDb page.
Was he on Saturday Night Live?
He was on Saturday Night Live, I think, as an Uber driver, but he has written a lot for Saturday Night Live.
I got to tell you, I didn't do the deep dive on the IMDb page. This, I'm new to podcasting. I'm not an old pro, but I like his acting, but his face, there's just something about it's just he's got a punchable face. Jerry has a very punchable face. I think he was perfectly cast.
Oh, I have a feeling quite a few people in this episode wanted to punch Jerry's face.
Yeah.
So we start with, Guillermo is gone, deciding not to become a vampire. And while reminiscing, the vampires remember that they forgot to wake up their old roommate, Jerry. And they were supposed to wake Jerry up. What year was it?
1996.
1996. So this show is real time. So it's 2024. Needless to say, Jerry has missed a lot. And they all go running to find Jerry's coffin. And in the process, Laszlo finds a rotting corpse in one of the caskets, and it re-energizes his desire to create a monster. My favorite part of this, and they call back, and they do it again in the next episode, is Laszlo acting like he has no idea who Frankenstein is.
Yes, I love that. And I love how they just randomly sometimes remember that Laszlo is something of a mad scientist. I always enjoy the Laszlo doing scientific experiment. So that was actually my favorite part of this whole episode, was Laszlo getting very annoyed when everybody kept comparing him to Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
No idea who that is.
Never heard of him.
Poor Colin Robinson. I love how he, in his mind, thinking Jerry and he were just such great friends. And when in fact, Jerry feels the same about Colin Robinson as everyone else does. I felt so sorry for him at that point. He's Colin. I miss baby Colin Robinson.
That was something else. Was it in this episode where no, it's the next episode. I don't want to skip ahead, but I loved seeing him and Colin together again. Nando or Laszlo and Colin.
Oh yeah.
Having screen time together. Yeah.
Making the friend.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up your absolute favorite character in the show, baby Nadja.
Nadja the dolly.
Nadja doll. And if anybody knows anyone that makes tiny dolls, please let me know.
Yeah,
it would be my greatest thing to gift Mandy a baby Mandy doll.
I've been wanting to give you one. That's been my dream, is to get. I even was Googling just like 2 days ago, trying to find a Victorian doll online that I could get that I could make one. Not to spoiler alert for Christmas, but you know me, it'll be like 3 Christmases, but
7 years from now,
right?
we'll revisit this podcast, and I'll be like, "Look at my little Becky doll."
Right. There's not enough people making haunted dolls, frankly.
There really isn't. I think y'all get on that. Somebody get on that out there.
I did love seeing that she's center stage again this season. I love they haven't gotten rid of Dolly and that she and Nadia still have each other to riff off of.
It was so cute when Nadia mentions Jerry's making her think of things that she hadn't thought of in a long time, and little baby Nadia's just like, things that make you go, which got that song stuck in my head for the remainder of the night. But I want that was one of the moments I picked up my phone to text you, and I was like, oh, I can't. We're going to talk about it on the podcast.
I have so many, like, my notes here. Remember, we talked the other day about prepping for this chat, and I just kind of kept some running notes throughout the whole episode, and there were so many lines that I just really enjoyed. Like, one, I loved that they picked "We Didn't Start the Fire" to try to teach Jerry about what he had missed. I have a note in my notes here.
I already know all that stuff.
Yeah,
you got anything new?
In my notes here, I have that is a very Colin song. That's like a perfect song that Colin would think would perfectly encapsulate the last 50 years of human history. So I really enjoyed that, and I loved what is our dark purpose that they kept with, because Jerry, the whole thing was Jerry was reminding them that they were supposed to be coming to take over North America, which leads to chaos in the group because they're the biggest slacker group of vampires. But
they got their street. They conquered their street.
They did get their street. They have got their street under control. But yeah, he reminds them that they're not living up to their vampiric dark purpose. And I loved when Laszlo, because Matt Berry, who plays Laszlo, he's one of the funniest men that has ever lived. And when he said "dangerous," cracked my face. That absolutely had me rolling. But
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
While we're talking about Jerry, I love how everything's going well, and Jerry is woken up, and now Nadia's mad at Laszlo over something that happened back in 1990?
Yeah, most realistic version of marriage I've ever seen on television.
Yes, and now that's what I was thinking. I was like, if this isn't us and our spouses, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
But her getting mad all over again about an argument that they'd totally forgotten about, and the way they refuse to speak to each other, even though they're right next to each other, but they're talking through mostly Guillermo.
Yeah. I love him.
That was brilliant.
So what about Guillermo not being a familiar anymore?
I liked it. I have it in my notes that even though he's still quirky, kind of quiet Guillermo, it's almost like he's got a little bit of newfound confidence.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
I feel like
I thought it was hilarious that he's living not just like, I need to see him now.
He's in the shed.
He's in the shed in the backyard where...
Yeah. I don't know why it made her so mad. I guess it was just the fact that she didn't know about it. But one of the notes I have here is, man, I can't remember the actress's name that plays her, but she's so brilliant in this role, and just how casually cruel she is all the time to everybody. And when she found out that Guillermo's living in the shed and he's got a piss bucket, and he clearly doesn't want to admit that he's been pissing in this bucket instead of the bathroom. And the casual cruelty of her just picking that bucket up and taking it with her so he has nowhere to go to the bathroom for no reason. For no reason. There's no reason. She's just because she's Nadia. I love her.
Oh, it was so funny that he was just living right there. I do like that even though they all shit talk Guillermo so badly and treat him so badly. It is obvious. And I think they know deep down they cannot function without him. They have to have him in their lives.
That's what I think one of the story arcs this season is going to be Guillermo realizing that he wants to spend his life taking care of them and that they are a family and that he loves them and that it's not, I think the last 5 seasons, Guillermo's arc has been that he wanted to be a vampire, that Nandor kept telling him he was going to make him one, and he wouldn't do it, and you keep getting the impression that it's because Nandor just can't be bothered to do it, or he doesn't want to lose his familiar. But we find out at the end of last season that he wasn't doing it because he does care about Guillermo, and he knew deep down Guillermo was a compassionate person and he just didn't have it in him to be a killer. Let's not mention how he seems to have no problem burying human bodies or covering up for them, but he's not going to be the guy that kills them himself. So just the love that those two characters have, I think what part of what he's going to discover this season is, his purpose is to take care of them, not because he wants something ultimately from them, but because they're now a family.
I like that. I hope so. I hope in some way. I know you want Nandor and Guillermo to fall in love. Do you still want that?
Yes. That was one thing. Like, I gotta tell you something funny. So Hulu is killing me. They cut off the ends of the the last couple of seconds where, there's usually like a gag and then maybe they'll show a couple of minutes of the next episode. They're not doing that on Hulu again this season. Like it was a problem last season. They fixed it, but it's back to doing it again. Anyway, when I first turned on the first episode, I didn't realize the first 10 minutes had gone by. So all my notes, like I started in the middle of the episode. So it was when they were in Guillermo's jack-off shed, as they called it.
Laszlo's.
It was Laszlo's jack-off shed. And I was completely kind of lost for a minute. Like, okay, I'm game. I'll figure it out. I guess they're going to go back and explain what's going on. And yeah, it turned out I had just started halfway through. But it was when Nandor was in there and he was laying down on the bed and Nandor was sitting next to him. And I thought that was the beginning of the episode. And so I was like, yes.
Oh, you were like, this is happening.
Yes. And no, they were just in there chatting. But I do still really hope that they end up riding off into the sunset together on his horse, Jahan.
Oh, the more I watch, I'd be happy either way. I'm okay with it.
I trust them.
I do. I agree with you. Colin's weight gain from all the negative energy in the house. And then when he comes in on one of those scooters.
The scooter? Yes.
That was another, I want to text Mandy moment, but I couldn't do it.
Colin riding around in the Walmart scooter. That's another thing that's just so brilliant about the show is just the nuance and the detail of like, how can we make this character as obnoxious and as unlikable as you possibly can? And that just, I don't know, that was just very in line with his whole personality.
It was perfect. And him saying the weight it's gone straight to my hip.
Yeah.
I loved when Nandor is talking to Guillermo and of course they immediately go to Guillermo, fix it. And he's like, that's not what I do anymore. You guys have to fix this on your own. And Guillermo realizes they aren't going to be able to fix it. But when Nandor's trying to talk to him after Guillermo's big rant about, how for years he's eaten their shit and done everything they asked. And then Nandor's like, will you help us? Not as the shit eater of Staten Island, but as our friend. I'm not doing it justice because I don't speak Nandor speak, but oh my gosh.
That guy is
great.
Kayvon is another, he's a great actor. I love how well he does accents. It's really,
Mm-hmm.
he's very talented. I don't think there's any accent that man can't pull off.
Glad the Guide is being brought back this final season, and I think it was a good call to match her with Jerry.
Yes, I'm a little worried about what those two are going to get up to because if you remember, the guide's pretty savage.
They're gonna conquer North America. That's what's gonna happen, and our guys
gonna happen to
are
our
gonna have to
guys?
save it.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that because they don't have what it takes to join that team to take over North America.
100%.
Yeah.
But they may be all we have.
Yeah.
The last point I have about this episode, and this is one of my favorite things about this show and these characters, is how they're having their little family meeting, and Nandor is like, we will conquer the world. We're gonna get back to this focus, and they're each have their little individual talking heads, and then them talking together. We're like, yes, that is absolute priority, and in true fashion, they each one minus Nandor go off and start a whole new topic discussion. What is it?
Immediately derailed.
Yes, and
that's what I was trying to say. Like if Jerry gets it together, if he and the guide get it together, and I think she could because she's vicious. Remember the episode where she kidnapped them all and was going to kill them because they were mean to her?
Second to last episode. I love that.
If she finally has somebody that's ready to see her vision, I think they could try to really take over North America. And what I'm saying is, if they're going to try, I feel like they're very quickly going to decide that our guys are dead weight, and there's going to be some kind of confrontation between them. And like you pointed out, even when they tried to get it together at the end, and like, we're going to do this, they immediately fall apart and get distracted.
Nandor's just left standing there like, where'd everybody go? I love how they do that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on episode 1?
No, I think we probably.
All right. Episode 2, headhunting. I have waited for this right here, and it's Laszlo's monologue about being drafted for the Civil War.
Yes.
Another I want to text Mandy moment.
Yes, that was very funny. I love it when they remind you how old these characters are,
mm-hmm.
and bring up things that they did in the past. That's always some of my favorite jokes.
And him still acting like he doesn't know who Frankenstein is.
Yeah, he still he's going to make himself a man. He's got the body parts he's putting together, and he's going to make himself a man. No one else has ever come up with this idea. It's all original Laszlo Cravensworth. No one else has ever tried to put something together, and quit trying to tell them that they have.
Right. One of my favorite quotes of this episode is when he's talking about his monster experiment with Colin Robinson, and he looks at the camera and he's like, this could turn into a monster mash, or worse, a graveyard smash.
Yeah. I love those guys.
So good. Yay, Guillermo got himself a little job.
Yeah, I don't know if
sweet.
Do you remember? You may not, because it's actually a little bit before our time, but the Mary Tyler Moore Show, the beginning of it.
I know it, but I didn't watch it.
So there's the only thing I really know about it is it's about like a working gal in the cities back in the 60s. But it famously, like at the beginning, when she gets to the big city, she kind of does a twirl and tosses her cap in the air. Guillermo did that, like when he was going into his job. He was so excited to have like a job that was not Panera bread. And he did the little Mary Tyler Moore twirl. That's another one of those little, if you blink, you'll miss it.
I got to go back and watch.
There.
That's good. I'm glad you saw that. I'll have to go back and take a look, because I did not notice that. It was hilarious to me that Nadja and eventually Nandor both feeling like they're, Guillermo has had it easy with them.
Right. He's had it so easy.
Which is laughable because they have been horrible to him.
They've been horrible. He's got literal like fields of bodies that he's trying to hide.
Yeah.
He's saved
He's running out
them
of
from
room.
being killed multiple times. Yeah.
And she said he won't survive without him. He's had it so easy. And
loved it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love when Nadja starts working with him. She goes to the office to keep an eye on him, to keep him in line. Did you notice that all of her outfits were like Working Girl? Do you remember the movie Working Girl with Melanie Griffith? The huge shoulder pads and the little wasp waist dresses.
I did notice that, but did you notice her hair?
The big hair, yes, the big 80s
I'm telling
hair.
you, that was a Jerry curl.
You love you a Jerry curl.
I have it right here in my notes. Okay, Mandy. When Nadja shows up at Gizmo's job, I keep calling him Gizmo in my notes. On day one, please tell me you thought the same thing I did about the hair that looked like a Jerry curl.
You know who I thought it looked like? I thought it looked like, remember Mixedish, that show that we loved?
Yeah.
Remember the sister?
Yeah.
That's his wig that reminded me of. Yeah. That's who I thought she looked like.
Show.
It was. I missed that. And Nandor's name, Jandy. Nandor, the janitor. Yeah.
Him mopping the countertops and obviously being a terrible janitor.
Yeah.
There was the scene where she wants to help Guillermo land the whale or the big account, and she does a great job though of setting it up where he gets to go in there. And I love that he was successful, but I hate and also find it hilarious that Guillermo has this amazing, oh my gosh, I did this moment, and it's totally ruined when Nadja kills him. And he's like, do you know how hard it is to get blood out of unsealed marble?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts about that. Number one, I want to bring up the quote of Nadja, because Nadja, she's such a boss bitch. Like, I don't know any other way to. I love how she sees herself as the brains of this operation.
She
no
does.
questions. She genuinely is, honestly. Second, I mean, she gets blinded by her own self-worth sometimes. So she's not quite as level-headed as Guillermo, but in general, she definitely is the brains of the operation between all of the vampire guys. And when she was trying to motivate Guillermo, and she told him, it's the prize pig who gets to eat with the mayor and his big-teated wife. I love when she brings up these old quote-unquote Greek sayings. I love her. She's so funny.
She is great. Oh, and by the way, I looked it up, and I'm probably going to butcher her last name, but it's Natasha Demetriou.
Demetriou, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
She looks. I think this is the first time I ever looked at her without
all of
the
her
hair and her teeth and everything. She's beautiful on the show. But she's very beautiful naturally.
Yeah, she is. But the other thing I was going to say about that scene you were talking about, so Guillermo thinks that he's done this all on his own, and then he goes in and he finds out that Nadja's killed Ryan, the obnoxious supervisor or whatever, project manager that he was. Guillermo's kind of a sociopath. Like, he's a very odd mixture of, just this kind, caring dude and somebody who's just kind of okay with the fact that his buddies casually kill people and he needs to help them dispose of the bodies. And his primary feeling once he got over being disappointed that he didn't do this all on his own was, yay, yeah, now, Ryan's out of the way. That's an opportunity for me.
I'm just saying, Guillermo may or may not be a product of the last, what has he been with them, 13 years?
Something like that.
He's coming by this honestly, Mandy.
You
got to give him a break.
Good choices, though. For a vampire killer, he's remarkably okay. Look, I love him. You know, not saying I haven't been accused of being a little bit of a sociopath in my time. Just saying, Guillermo's not exactly the cuddly bunny that he usually comes
Yes,
across
he
as.
is.
And that was
Gizmo.
that was a very good reminder for me that Guillermo will go ahead and throw your body in a, or let Jandy, the janitor,
He just like, bye-bye, Ryan.
folded him up and was shoving him in there. That was so gross.
Oh no, I do agree with you about Guillermo, but I still say he didn't have much of a choice for his
I
mind
mean,
to go the way it goes because he's been
look what he's
around some
living
crazy
around.
for 13
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Moving on, the scenes with Colin and Laszlo looking for head donors and
Oh, that
Laszlo
was
literally measuring people's heads on the street.
that. I love one of the things I love about this whole mad scientist arc that he's on this season is his experiments, like his jack off machine that they broke. And I this has been a pretty jack off heavy episode. I
Oh
think it's
yeah,
like the third
I think
time
they
I've
talk
brought
about it
that up.
next episode too.
Came up quite a bit, but yeah, Guillermo or Laszlo's jack off machine. And again, I loved that he and Colin are riding again, that they got the band back together and they're
Mm-hmm.
doing things together. Because like you were talking about earlier, it reminded me how much I miss baby Colin Robinson in that whole
Oh.
season when he was basically raising him up. So it was good to see them back together again, raising a ruckus, cutting heads off, sewing bodies together.
Kicking people out just based on one sentence. I feel like if you and I were to Uber together, minus the wanting to steal someone's head to build a person, I feel like that's a lot like what it would be like if we did that together. We should do an experiment, see what happens.
Aren't we right now?
Yeah, I kind of guess we are. We
Yeah.
just need a third party to be a willing participant in our for the backseat shenanigans. That sounded weird. Never mind.
I'm gonna move right past that, or we'll be here all
Yeah,
night.
moving on.
I do love that the guy that they picked was was into jazz music because that is such a Colin Rob. Sorry to offend any jazz lovers out there, but that just is such a Colin Robin genre that I thought it was perfect that that's the head that they were going to take, and what ended up being Colin Robinson's new buddy.
When they're dancing, I do
Yes.
I made a note that Colin Robinson's dancing is what I feel like I looked like when I would go to a club. That in my head, I'm looking like a, star in a music video, but in reality, I'm Colin Robinson.
It's interesting you say that, Becky, because I'm going to take you back to a night in
Uh-oh.
probably 2000. You and me and Tony, my sister, and Heather at the little bar off of Stewart's Ferry Pike here in Nashville. And I very distinctly remember being on the dance floor and you guys had all been out there and I thought you all looked great. And we were all having you know me. I'm not a dancer, but for once I was like really feeling great about it. And I thought you guys were doing great and we were all looking good out there. And then I kind of look over and you and Tony and our friend Heather were sitting at the table and you all kind of had your heads cocked to the side and this sweet smile on your face watching me dance like, bless her heart. Bless her heart.
I think you're making this up. I remember that night, but I remember nothing of what you speak.
When was the last time I danced in public? And I feel like that's better for the world because I'm pretty sure I look like Elaine Bennis. I know I do because that was the topic of conversation the entire way home.
I'm just going to say, who's Victor Frankenstein?
Right. You've never heard of him?
Never
Right.
heard of this whatsoever. That's funny. But at least you danced, right?
I did.
They say dance like nobody's watching.
Right. I do believe when I came back, I was being mercilessly roasted by my sister. And bless your heart, you were the one that was like, you were having fun and it showed.
Probably because
really
I look
see-
exactly the same as you did.
You did. You look great. We are neither one of us known for our grace, but I think you're a good dancer.
You're very. I can choreograph.
You were the
Dance.
cheerleader.
Right. Choreograph I can do, but freestyle, not my jam.
Yeah.
But I did get out there and give it a whirl.
Honestly, I think it was a perfect way for my dancing career to end in a very kind and loving manner. You, with your look of, I'm going to support you if this is what you want to do.
I'm glad I could be there for you for that moment. Oh my gosh. Okay. That was amazing. Do you have anything else for episode 2?
No. This is where I think, though, I did enjoy episode 2 more than I did episode 1. Like I said, I could really start to feel the slow burn of the season cooking up.
Well, episode 3, titled Sleep Hypnosis, is the best.
That is my favorite.
I loved this storyline that started with just such a simple, almost like a sibling argument of what to do with the space under the stairs.
Yeah, the tiny little Harry Potter space.
And then
they're like my kids sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like this is an argument me and my brothers definitely had growing up.
Absolutely. And you're not immortal, 200 to 2,000-year-old vampires.
Right.
You were like 12-year-old kids. And that's what I love about this show is that they are immortal vampires. Kids. Right. And they're arguing over what to do with this tiny little hole underneath the stairs.
And then the sleep hypnotizing, I knew as soon as it came up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to end up just in a fun circle of everyone getting sleep hypnotized.
I did see that. Yes.
But before
I
we
was
died,
curious how they were going to get off that roller coaster after a while.
I liked the way they did it. It seemed
sure.
Yeah, it seemed natural and not forced. This I loved everything about this episode. But
That's
before we go,
I trust the writers because they always, even if I start out and I'm like, what? Sometimes they'll have something that's like we were saying, you could see where this was going, but the journey is always unpredictable. Like there's always surprises. There's always just exquisite little details that they throw in that make it so much more than just cliched TV tropes.
Yeah. My first point is again for you. Anytime I bring up baby Nadja, it's for you. Did you see her walking on her little baby doll legs?
No, I missed that. I must have blinked and missed that.
Entrails because of Laszlo's mess that he's left all over the house.
Yeah.
With his body parts. And she comes walking out on her little baby legs.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go home and immediately watch that again as soon as we get done here because I need to see that. I'm obsessed with her. I love her so much. You're going
to melt when you see
I do. I love how she and Nadia are. I love something that I always look forward to is their outfits and how they match up and how their clothes kind of complement each other. And I'm
when
really
she changes her hair.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying all of that this season. I'm enjoying Nadia's wardrobe and baby Nadia's wardrobe.
Yeah, that's one of my overall notes is about the costumes this season. They're always great, but I don't know if I've just been paying more attention this season, but I really am liking them. One note, when Nandor is feeling defeated about giving up or losing the vote, which I thought was a very funny nod to our current election situation. By the way, everyone, side note, please get out and vote. When he's sitting at the desk and he's like, and I wish I'm not going to try but maybe it's time for this old cowboy to hang up his spurs and go elf himself right up the pooper.
I laughed out loud at that.
It was so well delivered. I was just like this. I know you're sad and this isn't supposed to be funny, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, it was so him.
Colin Robinson's poster of David Schwimmer when
Yes. I loved how Colin Robinson's favorite song is fan noise. Did you catch that?
No,
My
I did
favorite
not.
song. Yeah, he had like the thing on and he's like, this is my favorite song. And it was just the ambient noise of a fan, like
Oh,
a ceiling fan. I
that
love
is
that guy.
that is so Colin Robinson. That's it. I have to go back and I'm going to go back and watch them all, but I did notice that. I do like it when he's going over his power chart and realizing he's officially the odd man out,
Right.
and he says that apartment hunting would be worse for him than being quartered and killed.
Yes.
I'm kind of like, you know what? That does kind of suck.
Honestly,
You might be
same.
right.
Judging by my last apartment experience, I agree.
I thought it was hilarious when he hypnotizes Nandor and it backfires. Uh, and Nandor ends up burning the whole house down along
He
with
becomes
Colin.
like basically caveman Nandor. Yeah.
Yes, and he
You know,
burns the house down.
one of the things I
Oh,
noticed is that when they went to go, when he went to go hypnotize him the first time, why is Nandor in his coffin at night? Maybe he just went
well,
tucked in
I
early
don't.
then.
Was it at night or because it always looks like it's night in there?
Maybe they just had the shades drawn or something, like, and maybe they
Yeah.
just kept it. But that was the one thing that jumped out at me in that scene. I was like, it's nighttime. Why is Nandor in his coffin? Maybe he's just tucking in early,
It
winter
just
block.
always looks like night in there to me, so
That's
I just
probably what it
assume
was.
if it's night. But I love that Colin. This is a very Colin Robinson heavy moment episode for me that I loved, and he talks about his phone being burnt, but he will not replace it until the new model comes out next year because it's
Yeah.
ridiculous to
Yeah.
get all these updates.
I'm with him,
And
honestly.
yeah, I mean he's not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never identified more with Colin, honestly, than in that moment. I love when the firefighters came and speaking of Nadia's outfits, you may not have noticed, but her outfit, she had the day glow streaks in her hair. It matched the firemen. You remember because she's just casually, they turn around and she's snacking on that fireman after they call him when Nandor sets the house on fire, and she's just casually out there eating a fireman in the backyard, and her hair and his safety vest are coordinated.
That's
That's
so
my girl.
funny.
She's
I
always
didn't
thinking
notice
ahead.
that's a good spot.
Also, where'd the monster go this episode?
The monster.
Yeah, Laszlo's monster that he was creating, not Frankenstein.
He must be
He
charging
must be on
down in
vacation.
the basement.
He's charging. They've got him. They've got him on the port.
Yeah,
His charge for it.
it was his turn to watch Guillermo at
He'll
work.
definitely be back. But that's one of the things they do a lot, I think, is that they will have plot lines that they just randomly drop for no reason, and then they'll just show back up later on sometime
And
down
it's
the road.
perfect.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why I
just
like
perfect.
Panera Bread. I love how
Right,
Panera
that
Bread.
running joke. That's the thing. They just have these exquisite little things. It's like you think that they've completely forgotten about that, and then it'll just pop right back up at a moment where you least expect it, and you have to be paying attention.
It's so
I
good.
miss this show.
I liked Nadia, hypnotizing Laszlo to be a clean freak. But did you notice when they're arguing about the chair that's in the room and they're talking about pornographics, he has a box titled miscellaneous erotica box, and it's
Yes. Yeah, I
It's
did.
like,
There was
that's
Laszlo's
an intense. What are the other boxes? Like you are serious if you have categoried and then you have miscellaneous.
Yeah, what is in the miscellaneous erotica? That's a good point. This was a very Laszlo's porn heavy episode, but I have a note here where I wrote like, ha ha ha, Laszlo is cleaning because Nadia hypnotized him, and I was just said, wish I could do that to Eric. Like I would be all over that, man. And those two kids of mine, yeah, and the dogs. Frankly, just get them all in on it.
Wouldn't that be nice? I think more about Darren does a good job of cleaning for the most part. It's more my cats that I would like to teach to scoop litter boxes or
to sleep hypnotize them to
feed
clean their own
themselves,
litter.
maybe. Yeah.
Calico, not to be such a patoot.
She's the good one.
Oh, which one is Frisco's the bad girl, right?
Frisco's she's what, 19 years old. So
Yeah.
to hear her tell it, she's earned the right to be her
To be
grumpy
cranky
self,
old lady.
and I'm okay with it. And then the two babies, but yeah, Calico's just like Darren. She's chill, like whatever.
She was his kitty, right?
Yes, before
Yeah.
we got married, so it makes sense she was spared my anxieties. But we digress. Nandor as Nixon. That was brilliant.
That,
Absolutely.
oh my gosh.
brilliant
That
writing.
maybe, Becky, that may have been the funniest part of any of the first 3 episodes. That's what I'm telling you. That man is brilliant with accents. That came up so out of left field. It was just, oh, golly. These guys, I'm going to miss them so much. Doing the whole speech, like, every little, like at first he was doing those little quotes, and it's been so long since anyone's done a Richard Nixon joke on TV that for a minute I was like, is he Richard Nixon? And then I was like, that sure is. It's just that's just not that. I did not see that one coming.
I didn't either. It was fitting that it was Colin Robinson that made that choice to hypnotize him that way.
Yes, because of course Colin Robinson would pick Nixon. Yeah,
Nixon.
And I have in my notes here, I bet K-Man, the guy that plays Nandor, loved doing that. I wish that I could have been on set to watch them do that and see like all the outtakes and everything, because I bet that was just, as an actor, I bet that was really fun.
Oh, 100%. I don't know how they keep a straight face delivering 90% of the lines that they do. I thought it was great that Laszlo hypnotized everyone into worshiping him. And when Guillermo gets home and walks in with the Amazon boxes, and Laszlo's like, my parcel's from the Amazon. Hey, that's
Like
what my front porch looks like every day. And B,
you know
that was so great.
You know that he thinks they're coming from the Amazon.
The Amazon. Yes.
Yes.
I loved when Guillermo is watching all of them interact, realizing that everybody's hypnotizing everyone.
Because of course.
His facial expressions, because sometimes when they're all together, he doesn't have a lot of speaking parts. But I'm going to go, everyone, just so you know, when we're done with this season, we're going to go back and do like a series recap where we just talk about our highlights and whatnot of the episode. So I'm going to go back and watch and see exactly how many times Guillermo says so much with just just a simple little change of the expression on his face.
Yes.
Hats off to that actor. That's so good.
Yeah. Harvey, his first name's Harvey. I can't remember his last name, but he was in Ugly Betty. He was the little brother in that show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He is such an understated, gifted, talented actor. He's like K-Man. I think that I don't know if you remember this, but I wanted to be an actor once upon a time, and I love character actors. Like, I don't find incredibly beautiful people, just cookie cutter beautiful people, extremely interesting. And I think that character actors are the understated heroes of our entertainment world, because the good ones just blend so seamlessly into the background that you don't even realize why they are compelling or hilarious, or they don't have to worry about looking beautiful. They can concentrate on their craft. And I think he just does such a great job. He, like you said, just the little minute, long-suffering facial expressions, or like the moments where he realizes that he's been treated like crap and he's like doing something for them, like the episode I think where he's burying all the bodies in the backyard and they had so many there in a single, where he's like, no, this is fine, and then you just kind of like see the dawning recognition in his eyes that he's probably lying to himself. It's just brilliant.
I like that he went to the guide and the guide came to help out, but her talking about when he's like, you know about sleep hypnosis, and she's like, of course I do. Um, I learned all about it at vampire camp, those bitches in cabin 9. I want a backstory for her where we learn about
Immediately.
vampire
Yes.
camp and the bitches in cabin 9.
It's so not surprising that the guide would have been the bullied girl at camp
Of
because
course.
she's the bullied girl in the show. But it's also, I immediately thought, I need like 6 seasons of the cartoon vampire camp. Like I need her to do the voice. I love her. She's such a great character actress, and she does a lot of voices on cartoons. She was Mabel in Gravity Falls, which was a show that was about like about a spooky kind of like a camp in the woods that they had on Disney a few years back, and she just does such a great job at being just the quirky friend that we've all had that, you know, is 99% of the time she's like a pixie dust, and then that 1% you think, you know, she kind of gets taken advantage of, she kind of gets pushed off until that 1% of the time where she loses her shit and then everybody's in trouble. That's who she reminds me of. So I thought that was perfect. I love that joke.
I cracked up when the Baron was hypnotizing himself while
Yes,
recording the
I had my notes
message
too.
to unhypnotize the group.
Yes.
And then Guillermo accidentally hypnotizing himself
Yes.
when he goes to sleep. But that led to the sweetest interaction and commentary by between Nandor and Guillermo, and then Nandor when Guillermo's in his room asleep. Loved it.
What did he say? I can't remember.
Well, he would, because Guillermo comes back in and introduces himself. He's applying for the familiar position.
That's right. That's why
and
I have here.
Nandor plays
Nandor,
along,
yes.
and then he tucks him under, and he's like, "Of course, I'm not going to keep him this way, but it won't hurt to give him one night."
I remember
was like,
now.
"Oh!"
And
that's where my heart went from lovers to more like not father and son, but kind of.
I don't think so. I think he's in love with Guillermo. I think
Guillermo.
I got
and
completely
the
different
guy.
from that. No, Guillermo's gay for one thing.
He could be. Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah.
And secondly, I got something completely different from that. What I took from that, because that's funny that you said that. Like, so in my notes, the second to last note I have is all with 4 W's: Nandor plus Guillermo. And then my very last note is love all the shirtless Nandor in this episode. But the next to last one was about how sweet that was, because I think if you really look at Nandor's face when they're doing that, it's him falling in love with Guillermo all over again. It's just him. You could see how much he just loves Guillermo and how much he loves the sweetness about him and the innocence in him. And I think that I do think it's a genuine, like, romantic love that he has.
You're most likely right.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but you know what? If it turns out the way that, you know, that they don't, because it would be very like this show to not end. It would be more likely than not that the show will end without any kind of formal
love,
because they're just not really big into monogamy in the show, period. Anyway,
no,
it's just, you know, everybody's always hopping around with each other because they're immortal or whatever. They just don't look at things. How many wives? You have 1,000 wives?
Yeah, but and Laszlo, when none of them remember each other, and he sees Colin Robinson, he's like, yes. Well, hello. And then he sees Nadja, and he's like, well, hello.
Because he will do it with anything.
Well, it reminded me, if you remember last season when the doll wanted to know what it was like.
Yes.
And they combined Colin Robinson and Nadja's.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's unlikely that they will end with some kind of a traditional coupling of those two. And I'm here for that too. I've got my fingers crossed, but I trust them to land this plane in a way that will make everybody very, very happy. I think they're only in it at this point because I just feel like this series just didn't ever get the ratings that it deserved. I feel like it's one of those people are going to discover more once it ends. And so I honestly think this last season is really kind of a for the fans.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to wrap it up in a way that will be satisfying for everybody. And I trust them to do that.
Final thought, and well said, by the way. Colin Robinson's Brown, too blessed to be stressed, to be dazzled tank top when working out with Nando. I went online and Googled to see if I could find that. You can't.
Dude, I forgot.
But if anybody wants to make me a Brown, it has to be that Colin Robinson Brown bedazzled tank top that says too blessed to be stressed. I might actually start working out.
Oh man, that might be the key, huh?
Yes.
That's what you've been waiting. That's what you've been waiting on.
I have a feeling that before the season ends, Guillermo is 100% going to accidentally roast the Baron again. Now that he's all healed up.
Love seeing him back, though. I did enjoy. That was one of the things that we didn't really get. This little pretty. You know that he, Becky, you being a big Interview with a Vampire fan, he's 100% supposed to be
Lestat.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Which is probably why I love him so much. Did I tell you I've been listening to the Interview with the Vampire? I'm sorry, the Vampire Lestat.
No, that's a good one.
Very interesting. I wanted to be ready for when it comes back out, but
that was sad. I felt like that was the saddest one of all of them.
It's not what I was expecting. I found myself anyway, we'll talk about that another day. That could be one of our topics. I hope we get to see more of the previous characters from past seasons show up in the final season. I like how they've done that so far.
Yeah, I want to see the neighbors again. And I think the next episode is about what is the neighbors? Sean, his sweet cheese, his homeboy. Yeah.
He couldn't run for comptroller because of his 11 DUIs and 9 is the limit.
Yes. Staten Island, you can only get 9 DUIs before you can't be the comptroller.
My last thought is just a general thought that I'm very disappointed. I went and looked at Emmy nominations and wins for this show. And they don't have one nomination for ensemble cast.
That's crazy.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, you can look at most of them individually and feel like they should be. Matthew Berry did get nominated once, but it blows my mind.
Criminally underrated.
But you said it best when you said that most people will probably find it later on and really love it.
So, I hope so. And we will be there being as snobby and gatekeeping as you could ever imagine when people finally discover it too.
Oh, yeah.
Now you want to talk about where we do.
And now we officially have proof that we were in on the ground floor.
We were in on Yeah, we were always here.
Do you have any additional notes?
No, I think we've probably gone on probably much longer than you anticipated we were going to.
We're not done too bad.
Well,
do you have any quotes?
Surprise for us.
I know, right? I said all mine during the episode.
I'm trying to think of, I'm looking through my notes here on this last one to see if there was anything I didn't get to work in that I wanted to. I did love that Colin's favorite comic is Marmaduke. That's very on brand.
Marmaduke.
Yes, that's very on brand. I thought, again, that was another one of those little, gems that they hide in there that, if you blink, you would miss it and not realize that that's just, it could, maybe Garfield, maybe Kathy, those are the only.
Oh, Kathy would have been great.
Family Circle. Maybe those are the only ones I could think of that might be.
If I'm not mistaken, he does in the first season reference Family Circus. Somebody does.
That does not surprise me. That's another one that, like, just one of those, it was in the funny papers, but no one ever actually laughed at it. Kind of. So anyway, I do love me some Marmaduke. It's just not exactly laugh out loud funny. So it is very, very much on brand for that to be Colin's favorite. Not just, I don't know. I don't really have any. I think we've kind of gone over everything I wanted to go over, but I am enjoying it. I'm so happy that it's back. It's going to be such a bummer when we don't have this. Every season is too short, and knowing that this season is the last one is just extra sad.
I'm savoring every second of every episode, and I am so grateful that you decided to come along on this ride with me.
Me too. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm think super so excited. Too. We didn't get any feedback this week, but I do want to give a very big thanks to everyone who sent us kind messages for this new venture and liked our Facebook page. If you would like to leave us some feedback, or you just want to say hi, or send us baby Naja or baby Mandy and Becky dolls, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight 2 at gmail.com. That's what's on tonight in the number 2 at gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page, where each week we will make a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. And we can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast too. We would greatly appreciate it if you would leave a review, comment, and or share via your favorite podcast listening app. That really helps get us out there, and we really would like to for our audience to grow. So if you like us, please give us a like. We will be continuing our coverage of What We Do in the Shadows next week. We'll be doing season 6, episode 4, titled The Railroad.
Well, once we wrap up our coverage of this show, we'll figure out what we'll cover next. If you have any suggestions on what that should be, if there's anything you'd like to talk with us about, feel free to let us know.
I want to make a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Corp Entertainment for giving us this platform. We greatly appreciate you and all your help.
Yeah, that's going to wrap up our coverage of episodes 1 through 3 of the final season of What We Do in the Shadows.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.